Hey guys, do you want to apply for Australian permanent residency but not sure how much money would it actually cost you? In this video, I'm gonna answer that. I'll tell you the total cost of application of Australian PR, how much money does it actually cost in the different steps of the complete process. I'll also tell you how much money will it cost you if you are applying as a single applicant, if you're applying with a spouse, or you're applying with the kids. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Before I proceed with this video, let me tell you about the other video that I just posted 3 weeks ago. It was about the step-by-step process. So in this video, I'll break down the total cost of the application into those steps that I explained in that video. I'll provide the link to that video in the description box below. If you want, you can check it out. Okay, so in that video, I divided the complete process into 5 steps. The first step was checking the eligibility. The second step was the English test. The step third was skill assessment. The fourth step was the expression of interest. The fifth step was submitting application, and after that, you are granted the PR. So now let's talk about the cost in each step. The first step, which is the eligibility check, it is free of cost. You can go online and you can check if you're actually eligible or what chances do you hold for getting the Australian PR. I made a separate video for it. I'll provide the link to that video as well in the description box. You can check it out. Okay, step 2, English test. Now there are 5 different tests that you can choose from: IELTS, TOEFL IBT, PTE Academic, Cambridge Assessment English, or Occupational English test. Now, I checked almost all of these different tests. The cost for all of them is almost same. They differ a bit, but not much. Now, the cost actually might differ from one country to the other, so I have tried to list down the costs in the Australian dollars because it's a video for the Australian PR. So for the primary applicant, it would cost you something around 250 Australian dollars. Similarly, if you have a spouse as well who's also applying, in that case, the same amount for the spouse as well, and for children, it's not required. Okay, now moving on, the next step, the third step, which is skill assessment. So there are different organizations which actually do the skill assessment. So the first one is the Australian Computer Society. Not the first one, actually, it is just one of them, which does the skill assessment of the computer engineers and software engineers. So for the ACS, actually, this is the fee structure. So actually, you would be ending up spending around $500. For Vitasys, it is around $1,000. So this is the exact screenshot taken from their respective websites. Similarly, it lies from $500 to $1,000 for the other organizations, for the other skill assessment organizations as well, like the Medical Board of Australia, Engineers Australia, and the others as well. If you want, you can check out which occupation do you actually belong to, which is the respective skill assessment organization, and check out the exact amount for that and calculate your cost accordingly. Now the step 4, which is the expression of interest. Now logging expression of interest is also free of cost, so you need not worry about it. You can log the expression of interest. You don't have to pay anything for making your EOI. Okay, moving on. Step 5, submitting the application. Now here is the point where you actually pay the maximum amount. This is the visa fee actually, which you're now paying. So the visa fee is more or less same for all the different subclasses, for 189, for 190, and also for 489, which is the temporary visa. Okay, or the provisional visa actually. So it is actually 3,755 Australian dollars for the primary applicant, and for the spouse it's actually 1,875 Australian dollars, and also for the kids under 18 years of age it's around 940 Australian dollars. Now, apart from this, you need to pay for state sponsorship if you're getting a state nomination, and for that it would be around 200 Australian dollars to 300 Australian dollars. It does vary from one state to the other, so you have to check your respective state for the exact cost. Also, you'd be ending up spending money for the police clearance. Now, it is required for the primary applicant and the spouse. However, it may differ from one country to the other, but just a rough estimate, it might cost you for around 10 Australian dollars if you are residing in just one country. If you're residing in the other countries as well, it will cost you more. You know, in the past, like let's say 2 years, you're there in the other country, it would cost you more. Okay, medical certificate. It would cost you around 100 Australian dollars for each applicant. Now, police clearance certificate was not for the children. However, the medical certificate is for the children as well. So yeah, you'd end up paying $300, around $300 if you have a family of three people. Now, document attestation would actually cost you around $50 per person, per primary applicant and the spouse. Okay, now the proof of funds. I made a separate video on it. I will again provide the link to that video as well in the description box if you want. You can check it out. The You might have to furnish the proof of the savings that you will have when you arrive in Australia. So it actually differs from one state to the other. So I can't tell you the exact amount, but I'll just tell you the rough amount over here. For a single applicant, you should have around 15 to 20,000 Australian dollars. For a couple, uh, the primary and the spouse, you should have around 20 to 30,000 Australian dollars. In a family of three, you should have around 30 to 40,000 Australian dollars. Okay, now let's do the total. So for the single applicant, you need to do your English test. Now here I have assumed that you know because the skill assessment is different for different people for different occupations. I've assumed it to be ACS. If you do actually belong to some other skill assessment authority, you can calculate your exact amount accordingly. So for ACS, it's around $500. For the application fee is around 3,755 state sponsorship. If you do choose to apply for the 190 visa, in that case you'd spend at least $200. So police clearance $10, medical certificate 100, and document attestation $50. In total, you'll be ending up spending around 5,000 Australian dollars, and you should have a savings of around 15,000 to 20,000 Australian dollars. Okay, moving on. Grand total for the primary applicant and spouse or a couple. So everything would actually be twice. English test you have to pay twice. If your spouse is actually also has to get her skills assessed through ACS, in that case you have to pay the skill assessment for ACS. In case you're not claiming any points for her or his skill assessment, in that case you need not pay for this. So I mean, this you have to adjust it according to your own personal condition. Application fee would be additional 1875, and also you spend up in the police clearance certificate, medical certificate, and document attestation. In total, you would spend up around 8,000 Australian dollars, and you should have a savings of around 25 to 30,000. Mind it, these are all approximate figures, which would give you an idea of how much amount you should actually have. Right, moving on again. So if you're a primary applicant and you want to actually migrate with your spouse and a child, in that case you would actually need to spend around 9,000 Australian dollars. Again, this is a approximate amount. Um, exactly, I calculated it to be around 8640, but roughly it would be something around 9,000. You should have some buffer definitely with you. So you should have a savings of around 30,000 to 35,000 or maybe 40,000, depending from one state to the other. So guys, this is the approximate total that I've told you, and if you know, I haven't converted this to Indian rupees or US dollars or Canadian dollars, whichever country you do actually belong to, you can actually convert it into that currency. So you would get a better idea of of the exact amount that you would actually end up spending. Also, the currency, the foreign exchange rate actually keeps on changing, so I haven't given any conversion rate over here, so that you can actually use it. You can actually do it yourself, and you can get a better idea. Also, you have to do the adjustments in case your spouse is from a different background, so he or she needs a different skill assessment. In that case, you would end up spending even more or even lesser. It depends on on one person to the other and your personal condition. So thank you guys, thanks for watching this video. I just hope that the information shared in this video was helpful to you. Please do like the video and share it with your friends, and also subscribe the channel if you haven't subscribed it yet. Thank you.